Hold on. Go. Rise and ground, folks. Guys, I am on the way to do something I should have did the first time we came out here, guys. We came out actually last week or probably less than 2 weeks ago on an OAC call. This customer had a Carrier Infinity Thermostat. Something told me I should have replaced that thermostat when I was there, but guys, I decided to give this Carrier Infinity Thermostat another chance. But this customer called yesterday and said that that same error is coming back, this time with no power outages. So guys, sure enough, we got our Ecobee thermostat. We're gonna go and rip out that Infinity pain in the ass, and we're going to finally get this customer rocking and rolling. And keep in mind, they have about like 4 thermostats there. They got 4 units. The other 3 units already have Ecobee thermostats, so it's going to be no different than what he already has upstairs. But guys, I am almost there now. I'll see y'all when I get inside. All right, guys. I just got here, and this is the first floor unit. And look at this. Room temp 73, set point 71, and I got 71 coming out of vents. This tells me, without even looking at the fault code, that it's probably a communication error on the outside unit again. So what I'm gonna do is start down here with the wires, and let's set this up conventional. How many wires do we have? 5. Actually, we have 6, which is great. Alright, yes, we only have 4 connected out here. Alright, let's get busy. I'll be back. Here, I think C and D are the 24 volt connections, and A and B is the communicating wires, or vice versa. But guys, when these things work, it's great. But once you have communication errors, do this customer wants to drop $1,000 per board, I wouldn't recommend doing that. But let me get my stuff here. Flathead. I need the Phillips head. Screwdriver. There we go. Alright. I believe outside is a straight AC, or it might be a heat pump. I'm not sure. I think it's a straight AC, but I'm gonna hook this up conventional inside, and once we go outside, I can make adjustments. I'll see you in a little bit. All right, guys. And we had an extra wire, which is great. Now, and I confirmed this in my notes. Outside, there's a heat pump. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna wire this gas furnace up for backup. So at the board, it's still gonna be W, but at the thermostat, white is gonna be W2. And both of my reversing valve wires from the thermostat and the outside unit are going to be connected, since there's no O terminal on the gas furnace circuit board. But stay with me, guys. This is going to come together soon. Now, let's undo this here. I'll be back. All right, guys. The lighter spoof is going to my heat pump, and a darker thermostat insulation is from my thermostat. And I'm glad that they ran 18.7 or 18.8. This gives us more wires to wire this up conventional. But worst case, if we didn't have enough wires, we'll have to run a whole new thermostat wire, and yeah, that would have been more time. But worst case, running more wire than what you need will always benefit you in the future, especially if you have low voltage shorts, or in this case, if you're putting something in that requires more thermostat wires. But all right, just a quick rundown. We got our G terminal hooked up, which is our fan. I'm gonna use orange at the thermostat and brown outside for my O terminal, which is gonna be my reversing valve. I'm using blue. I'm trying to do this conventional just to make it easier when I go outside. I'm gonna use blue for my common. Red is red, yellow is yellow. But let me do this, and I gotta get more wire nuts. Let me do this real quick, I'll be back. All right, guys. I'm gonna close this up. Another thing, once again, as a disclaimer, do what works for you. But I don't plan on opening this back up. If I come back down here after everything's done, I'm just gonna hit the switch and program that thermostat, but take pictures of wire connections just to make it easier. If you have more than one person on the job, that cuts down your time. But since it's just me here, it's always helpful to have pictures. So when I go outside, if I don't see the same wire connections in here that I do outside, then this gives me a point of reference. But just take your time, try to hook it up conventional so you will have a point of reference so you don't get confused and accidentally mess up the transformer. But all right, guys, let me close this up. I'll be back. All right, guys. Power's still off. Let's head outside. Hold on. Go. All right, guys, I can't resist table games. All right. Let's go outside. I'll see y'all when I get back. All right, guys. Let me zoom out so you can see. This is our heat pump. And this is the same spoof. I think this was the lighter color from the basement. We got to hook up our common and our O terminal for the reversing valve. And you see here, if the conventional setup, if the communicating setup was active, you don't need the O or the W2 because the communicating setup only has A, B, C, D. But since we're doing conventional, all those 4 wires plus 2 here is going to go on the conventional section of our outdoor circuit board here. But all right, I got wire nuts. Cool. All right, I got what I need. Let's hook this up. I'll be right back. Guys, I just had a temporary brain fart. As you can see, the conventional side of this board doesn't have an R terminal. And that's when I realized if there's no R terminal on the conventional side of this board, that means even though it's not communicating, they still want you to use the D terminal for communication, or at least that's how I think it go. Because if I hotwire this board, it's not going to get 24 volts. The common is hooked up, but it's not going to get 24. And A and B is communicating, C is the common, and D is the 24 volt hot. But guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go inside and put that thermostat on the wall. Worst case, it's not going to turn on at all without 24 volts from the R terminal, but if it works, it works. If not, then we can go back to the drawing board. But in the meantime, I'm gonna keep this open and let's go put this thermostat on the wall. I'll be back. All right, guys, I got my thermostat on the wall. I hear my distinctive buzzing downstairs at the board. And now I just want to test the heat and AC without the Wi-Fi being hooked up. Let's see what's going on. All right, let me wait for this to load up. I'll be back. All right, guys. The air feels cool, but remember, I got my thermostat on the wall, and the air feels cool, but it's not a tremendously hot day. I think right now it's only like 75, 76 degrees. Okay, cool. It looks like D terminal is our hot wire. And my suction line is cold. And guys, food for thought. If you know, you know. If you got the AC set to cool and your suction line is burning hot on the heat pump, that means your reversing valve is wired incorrectly. I think O energizes the reversing valve on the call for AC, which is suitable for most brands, but I think Trane or like one or two manufacturers de-energizes their heat pumps on a call for AC and energizes them on a call for heat. If that's the case, you'll have to swap it from O to B, so the reversing valve gets de-energized on the call for AC. But guys, you'll know, like I said, instantly, if you got, like I said, 100 degrees coming out the vents and the heat pump is running, if that suction line is burning hot, that's kind of like how you would know, especially on new installations, or in this case, us doing this thermostat. But guys, our suction line is definitely cold. I'm gonna keep this open, and I want y'all to take a walk with me. My sunglasses are fogged up. I want you guys to take a walk with me. I got my, wait, where's my thermometer? Is it in the bucket? Hold on, guys. Hold up. Where the fuck did I put it? Is it down? Yeah, actually, no, it's still in the plenum. I know I'm not going crazy. All right, let's shoot downstairs. And they got the cleaning people in. I don't want to get in their way. I'm just going to go through the garage to get downstairs. And of course, right now the Ecobee is Wi-Fi enabled, but I still have to test the backup heat, test the heat pump heating, and test the heat pump cooling, which is what I'm doing now. I want to test all three functions individually before I do the walkthrough with the customer, because I'll tell you now, the Wi-Fi is icing on the cake. It's not really much to say about the Wi-Fi. All right. Close this so no flies get in. And guys, remember, we're getting 71 degrees coming out the vents. That's on a call for AC. That's how it was when we got here. And that filter is still clean. Boom. Oh yeah, we're good money. And another thing with the Ecobee thermostat, if this was electric backup, I should have put this on video. This is interesting. The Ecobee thermostat asked me, once I confirmed the wiring, it asked me, did I want the backup heat and the heat pump to run together? And it said that if the backup heat source was electric heat, if this was like an air handler, then yes, it's recommended to have both run together. But since this is a gas furnace, if you run a gas furnace and heat pump together, it could damage the heat pump. Now, I never heard that, but I think what that Ecobee thermostat was alluding to, since the evac coil is essentially the condenser in the wintertime for the heat pump, and since the furnace produces, with the heat exchanger in it, since it produces such a high temperature, that combined with the heat from the evac coil, it could damage the coil. Now, I never seen that before, but I'm glad that they had that function in, because I never thought about it. I always wanted them to run together, but it did ask me about the cutoff point outside. I picked 40 degrees. I didn't pick 35, but it said the recommended cutoff point for the defrost should be 35 degrees, but I put 40 from the thermostat. But the heat pump, remember, outside, the heat pump already has a separate defrost. That timer that I just alluded to was from the thermostat, meaning if the ambient temperature gets below 40 and the customer turns the heat on, the gas furnace is going to kick on. So, guys, essentially that's like a backup defrost timer in a way. Just in case if something happens to the defrost outside, now the Ecobee thermostat can say, wait a minute, the ambient temperature is below whatever I set it to, in this case 40. I'm not going to turn my heat pump on. Let's turn on my backup. And bada bing, bada boo. Bada bing, bada boo. All right, guys. Yeah, we did a crap ton full of work here. The only thing we didn't do is look at the basement unit, but once again, it's always cold down here. He occasionally turns this basement unit on in the winter just to keep things from freezing. And we got our good old recirculation loop here. I actually put one of these in. I only put one of these in before on a water heater. This is like our first year in business. This is a 75, no, this is a 50 gallon. But this customer back in 2016 had a 75 gallon water heater, and he said that the bathrooms, it took a while for one particular bathroom to get hot water. It took like a long time. And when it did, it wasn't constant. So we put in a recirculation loop, and we never heard back from that customer, which is a good thing. We got to assume that fixed the problem. And guys, this is not good. Packing nut is leaking. That's why I'm a definite fan of a ball valve. Gate valves is all you had back in the day, but the only issue with these gate valves is over time, if you open and close them, or just due to the valve itself. The packing, which is the nut around here, the packing nut can get loose, and it's going to leak like crazy. And you're not going to have those issues with a simple ball valve. Alright guys, I can yap all day about what I see. This can be a 35-minute video, but I choose to make this more efficient. I like getting straight to the point. But guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to test the heat pump heating. I'm going to test the gas furnace, the backup heating, and that's all there is to it. But alright guys, let me skedaddle and get up out of here. Let me do what I got to do. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace. You know what, guys, on second thought, I need the watch time hour, so this might be a 35-minute video. I want y'all to see the monotonous things I got to do. All this back and forth. And the air is very cold coming off my condenser. Yep. Suction line is hot. But guys, I don't want you to take my word for it. What I'm doing now is I just tested I'm actually testing my heat pump heating. I got that Ecobee thermostat in test mode. So follow me back downstairs and let's check our supply. I should have actually tested the heat first since it's already hot. So I can, after I test the AC, I can leave it on. But you live and you learn, guys. We'll get there. Take it one job at a time, one step at a time. But at least I know I got a 51 degree supply coming out. So I was actually concerned about that R terminal because I never actually, every single board that I dealt with that was communicating did have a separate R terminal. So, but guys, we both learned something together. I never knew, even though you're not using communicating, you still have to use the D terminal. So keep that in your notes. That on non-communicating setups, on communicating systems, keep that D terminal for the constant power from the R terminal. And right now, once again, I got my heat pump heating on. Boom shakalaka. All right, 97 degrees, baby. So let's go upstairs. auxiliary. Now I'm testing my backup heat. And I got a trivia question for you guys. What do you call a setup in which you have a heat pump outside and you have a furnace inside? I repeat, what is the setup called when you have a heat pump outside and you have a gas furnace inside as a backup? Put the answer in the comments. I know most of you guys are experienced. If not, this is your time to learn. This is the best setup you can have in Pennsylvania. Furnace inside as a backup, and the gas bills are marginal in comparison to if you guys are paying electric bills on electric heat. But the fact that the heat pump is the primary heat source, which is great because on mild days, you're not going to burn gas. You're just going to use that heat pump. But whenever the temps gets below 40, you're going to use this gas furnace as a backup. Now I'm explaining to you what it is, but I'm not telling you guys what it is. Drop it in the comments. Once again, what is the setup called when you have a gas furnace inside as a backup and a heat pump outside as the primary heat source? And my heat pump just turned off. And let's wait for us to get flames. Let's wait for us to get the flames. Hey guys, as far as while we wait, I can yap about another topic. As long as you got enough thermostat wires, you can make pretty much a unit do anything. Even if the circuit board, like if this is an air handler and you didn't have a common terminal, if you didn't have an O terminal or a Y terminal, as long as you got enough wires, technically they all don't need to go inside the unit. You can just extend it right out on the side of it like you see here. So does it really make a difference if you don't have an O terminal or W2 for backup heat on my circuit board on the furnace? No, because most of the time, guys, a furnace is a conventional setup. You will typically have a furnace on a straight AC unit, but since you have a heat pump, that means you're gonna need additional wires, and that's the reason why the wires are extended on the side of the cabinet. So, but when in doubt, guys, like I said, take your time, go wire for wire, and take pictures. Like I was telling you guys earlier, take pictures. So I knew I didn't have to open this up again because I knew exactly what was hooked up. But if I was moving too fast and I forgot what was hooked up to the R terminal, I don't have to get my tool bag and come back down here. I can just resort to the picture, and instantly within a second, I'll know what was hooked up. But yeah, guys, I just went conventional, and that's all there is to it. I believe the set point was 79 and the room temp was 71. But I'm gonna give this some grace. I'm gonna give it a few minutes. Maybe there's a time delay, because there definitely was a time delay for the heat pump cooling and the heat pump heating to turn on. But this is the one for the first floor. They have two for the second floor. This is for the general area, and the one that we replaced, which is the one that had the AC leak a couple years ago. That furnace and coil is upstairs in the attic. And I'm glad we don't have to go back up there. And speaking of air handlers, that's what the one for the basement has. But we never touched this unit. The customer takes care of the filters, and like I said, this is a seldomly used area in the summer, since it's already 68, 69 degrees down here, which is great. Only thing they need is the dehumidifier, and easy money down here in the summer. You don't really need AC, but yeah. But alright, guys, I'm gonna wait for this furnace to turn on. I'll be back. Alright, guys. 112. Cool. Alright guys, now let's go right back upstairs and turn the AC back on. Actually, let's do 71. How many steps I got? Yeah, 37, not bad. I'll be right back. All right, guys. I turned the thermostat back to AC, and that's all there is to it. I just gotta, I'm pretty sure this customer knows how to set up the Wi-Fi, but I'm just gonna do the walkthrough with him, and I gotta fill out the paperwork, make sure we're good to go. The filter's clean. And yeah, guys, that's all there is to it. Thermostat Infinity system with communication problems that really didn't make sense. First time we got here, it gave me 22 or 23 active fault codes about the communication fault outside. All the wires are okay. The connections look okay. Nothing look burnt or broken. Everything looks intact. So I cleared the fault, turned the power off, turned it back on, and the thermostat went down to set point. But I explained to the customer that if this fault comes back again, these thermostats are essentially worthless. A communication error is nothing more than just the need to replace the circuit board before the circuit board actually has an issue. So good thing for these communication setups, still having a conventional setup. That's really your only option once you start having these problems with these older Carrier thermostats. But there you have it. Guys, I gotta rock out and do the paperwork, and I gotta close the door back. All right, guys, let me roll. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.